mean,
it's like a well-rounded story.
Let me just it's not that big a deal. But I mean,
and I also have a minor objection to one of the things you said in your presentation.
Okay.
I don't think that sartorial style really has much place in
you're talking about like
in a conversation like this. What?
Why not? Because I mean, you know, the things are like because
what?
Why not?
Because that's like an entirely ethnic question. It has very little to do with objective standards of decency.
You see, if you're sitting in the middle of Eastern Parkway and somebody walks down the street wearing an Indian headdress, you're not going to notice that?
I definitely would notice it. I don't think I would call it wacky if I would call it impressive.
You wouldn't call it wacky.
I would find it.
I don't mean wacky in the sense of like pejoratively. It's just sort of like out of the ordinary.
It's pretty pejorative.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to start a fight with you, but the thing is, like, what I'm saying is that, like, it's sort of counterintuitive to wear heavy clothes in the summer, it would seem.
I think the Orthodox are seeing it as like you're guiding somebody who dropped out of the Jewish community, and you're like, you're turning your back on the Jewish community versus the secular people who look at it as, first of all, a little more humanitarian values, but besides for that, they're also looking at it from the Jewish community perspective, which is your thing. And I think it's an outrage what they've done to this Jew that you've tried to help with by writing that article.
Speak louder,
I think it's a total outrage what they've done to Gitti and all the corruption that's going on over there. I think it had to be brought to. I don't think it's a problem with. I think all Jews should want to help Jews and should want to help the community update and finally upgrade to the 21st century where you don't take away kids from the moms just because you don't like what they do or their beliefs are. And it's not like you're turning your back on the Jewish community, you're joining most of the Jewish community, which is outside of Orthodox couple of blocks.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, like, one of the things, apropos of what you're saying, is that, like, one of the things that I thought that I wish I had done in this article was discuss. I mean, these guys are fundamentalists, right? We all can agree that it's a fundamentalist thing. All right, so I mean, you know, I don't really feel 100% negative towards that because the modern world is not that great. You know, I mean, so if you want to turn your back on the modern world and not pay attention to what's on television and all that kind of stuff like that, that's okay with me, you know, because that seems normal. Because, I mean, if you really believe in Hashem, that's an unchanging thing, right? Just change. It doesn't change. It's like it's eccentric, right? So therefore, that's a completely sane way to go about dealing with the universe. Because if you, otherwise, the so-called good is changing all the time. You can't keep up with it. It creates a lot of anxiety, which is the best reason for living in one of those kind of communities. However, those communities, I think, should understand that they're living in a larger community, which is composed of all these other people, right?
And that's why they wage such a fight against it, because they understand the ramifications of it. Had they not understood it, they definitely wouldn't have put up such a strong fight.
How come they can't be a little more friendly?
Because if I were to consider your way of life very hazardous to my children, I don't think I'd be very friendly to you or to myself.
Well, doesn't that making a ton of assumptions about what my lifestyle might be? You never even met me until tonight.
No, that was a hypothetical.
In other words, if you don't go out of your community, how are you supposed to know what's going on out there?
I don't find it particularly hazardous. Even unpleasant. I was just using a typical hypothetical.
It has to be some tikkun, like it's got to be some kind of middle ground.
No. I was just being hypothetical. I think it's.
I'm not trying to.
I think it's a what?
I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
Right, no.
You seem like a nice guy.
Rather, I'm not trying to give you a hard just a hard enough time. Just my money's worth.
By the way, I just want to deference to Levy over here.
Yeah, Levy.
Yes.
Look at Levy.
You are saying that during the summer you should just wear clothing, you should wear less clothing, and
It's hot around. You think you wear less clothing? Yes.
The question is, why do you wear clothing?
Now you're getting too deep for me, man.
Well, why do you wear
Because
clothing?
like
Maybe we'll tell you wear clothing because clothing is art. Right? So
that's the way he's dressed. What are you talking about? He's dressed like a bum.
Artful bum.
An artful bum, yes. It's still a bum.
Doesn't only wear clothing because it keeps them warm or protected from the sun's rays. Just like a fashion person doesn't necessarily only wear very practical clothes.
I think.
So I think
I think that you ask Thomas Jefferson why he wore a practical helmet.
Why they're doing wacky?
Yeah, I mean, like,
is a judgment.
I would withdraw the word wacky, all right? So, like, you know, I would withdraw the
Charles
wacky.
Dickens wore in the summer? Or what do you think Charles Dickens or Thomas Jefferson or Rousseau, for example, wore in the middle of the
They don't wear it anymore. We don't wear it anymore because they're stupid. They never wore it. They wore it in the summer. They don't know what they're doing.
I
think we're going off the point. It's reasonable to ask why. I mean, it's reasonable to ask why, but it's...
How about stilettos? How about stilettos? How about dancing in stilettos? Is that counterintuitive? Dancing in stilettos.
I rest my case. Yes, Baruch. Oh, wait, Baruch. This is the guy. He's the smartest guy in the room, so he's going to say something. Okay, so
Your point is that Hasidim don't like criticism. How come you're not allowed to criticize at all? Now, if you look at all the Hasidic newspapers, they never have criticism there. All they ever talk about is like happy issues. There's no.
When was the last time you read it?
Okay, I'm just saying what I see. I don't read
The Sabbath newspaper has nothing but criticism. I've never seen anyone
All I
happy.
ever see is like who gets honored at a dinner.
You read it?
Do you ever read that?
Okay, so that's a good point. But I think that they cannot allow any criticism. Like recently there's this case of a guy who's going around talking about child molestation in yeshivas, and they ran him out of town because they don't want any criticism. All I know is
Maybe those people who purchased her. Exactly.
I don't know. I read
He was banned from every shul.
that he was banned from every shul.
He's the guy that makes
They
it
don't let
because
him.
the satellites
They
move
used
to
to have a
the
house. And so they do not allow any self-criticism.
Right. Heshela, you met this guy, right? Yeah. So he's saying that the guy's not bound from anything.
Because the Hasidic ideal is all about protecting their tradition, their grandparents and their great-grandparents' tradition, and they'll err on the side of being uncomfortable and miserable in this world to make sure that their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren keep their tradition.
it's okay. Hey, Isaac.
I find that it makes sense to lead a more logical life than to protect some tradition that doesn't make any
Okay,
sense.
so this is the now. In other words, your opinion is religion out the window.
I'm not saying religion out the window,
You're
but
just saying.
I'm saying that you should pick and choose some things that make sense. It doesn't
makes sense to
Which one? No, it doesn't make
to
sense.
protect
If you ask them why they do it, they say because they want to make sure that their great-grandchildren are Jewish. But what they're doing is they're defining Judaism without what.
What were you going to say? In the back to protect the men.
So, I mean, Isaac, is this supposed to have decorum here, or is this the way it's supposed to be? Yes.
Bringing it back
Wait.
to our speaker now. Everybody, please.
No, I'm happy not to talk. I'm having a counterpunch here, but